Christopher Nolan's upcoming 2026 adaptation of the Odyssey has a cast that reads like a Hollywood fever dream. Matt Damon as Odysseus, Tom Holland as Telemachus, Zendaya as Athena. But there is one casting announcement from the recent Time magazine profile that absolutely broke the internet, generating millions of rage tweets and sparking the loudest film debate of the year. Oscar winner Lupita Nyong'o has been cast as Helen of Troy. Almost immediately, the internet went up in flames. Commentators started screaming about historical accuracy. Elon Musk tweeted that casting Lupita as Helen of Troy was the equivalent of casting a white actor to play the African king Shaka Zulu. YouTube critics immediately began producing 3-hour video essays on why this woke casting destroys the legacy of ancient Greece. But I've been looking at this discourse, and I realized something frustrating. Everyone is having the wrong conversation. Today, I am going to explain why we shouldn't care about Lupita Nyong'o's race in this role. By the end of this video, you are going to realize that treating the Odyssey like a historical documentary completely misses the point. We are going to look at the philosophy of the stage play, the true purpose of mythology, and why Lupita Nyong'o is actually the perfect vessel for the devastating emotional truth of Helen of Troy. Let's look at the actual evidence. Let's start by addressing the Elon Musk Shaka Zulu argument, because it perfectly illustrates the trap modern audiences fall into. Shaka Zulu was a real, documented flesh-and-blood human being who lived in the 19th century. His race, his geography, and his historical context are immutable facts. Helen of Troy is a demigod. Depending on which ancient Greek poet you read, she is the daughter of Zeus, who literally hatched out of a swan egg. The internet backlash comes from projecting modern, 21st century racial categories onto ancient Greece. The Greeks did not operate with our biological concepts of race. Their worldview was cultural. You are either Greek or you are barbaros, a barbarian. When people get angry that Lupita doesn't look like Diane Kruger from the 2004 movie Troy, what they are really angry about is that Nolan is disrupting a modern, Eurocentric fantasy of antiquity. They want a history lesson. But Homer was not a historian. He was a myth maker, and that distinction changes everything. To understand what Nolan is doing here, we have to look at how these stories were originally consumed. The Iliad and the Odyssey were not textbooks. They were oral traditions. They were the original campfire stories, sung by bards, and later adapted into the very first stage plays of the ancient world. In the tradition of the stage play, the literal, physical phenotype of the actor does not matter. What matters is the essence of the character. This is why we can watch Denzel Washington play Macbeth, or a completely diverse cast perform Hamilton, and we don't blink an eye. We are meant to be colorblind in a theatrical space, because the stage is an arena for metaphor, not literalism. Nolan isn't trying to give us a one-to-one geographical reenactment of the Mediterranean Bronze Age. He is creating a cinematic stage play. He is stripping away the illusion of historical accuracy so we can focus on the emotional honesty of the story. And when you cast for emotional honesty, you don't look for a specific skin color. You look for gravity. You look for presence. So, what is the emotional truth of Helen of Troy? For centuries, pop culture has reduced Helen to a shiny trophy. A pretty blonde woman who stood on a balcony while men hit each other with swords. But if you actually read the myths, Helen's story is a psychological tragedy. She is a woman burdened by unparalleled, divine beauty. Her physical form is a curse that strips her of her agency. She is treated as a prize to be won, stolen, and reclaimed, entirely trapped by the gaze and the violence of men. She carries the unimaginable guilt of being the catalyst for a war that burns a civilization to the ground. That is the truth of Helen. It is the human experience of objectification, isolation, and crushing tragedy. When Nolan was asked about the casting, he didn't give a political monologue. He simply said he needed her strength and poise, and that she had the ability to make the emotion bubble beneath the layers of the character. Lupita Nyong'o has a regal, almost otherworldly presence on screen. When she stands on the walls of Troy, looking down at the slaughter being committed in her name, you aren't going to be thinking about her passport or her melanin. You are going to feel the agonizing, suffocating weight of a woman who is trapped by the world's obsession with her. We need to stop demanding that our myths act as historical accounts. Myths and legends were not created to tell us what happened on a specific Tuesday in 1200 BC. They were created to explore the truth of the human experience. They are mirrors designed to reflect our own hubris, our own grief, our own capacity for love and destruction. When Lupita Nyong'o was asked about the racist backlash to her casting, she responded perfectly. This is a mythological story. Our cast is representative of the world. She understands what the internet trolls don't. By restricting mythology to modern racial phenotypes, we actually shrink the story. We lock it in a tiny, literal box, but by casting colorblind, we return the myth to what it was always meant to be: universal. The face that launched 1,000 ships isn't tied to a specific DNA test. It is the face that can carry the emotional truth of humanity's oldest tragedy. And there are very few actors alive today who can carry that truth better than Lupita Nyong'o. But I want to hear from you guys. Do you agree that cinematic mythology should operate like a stage play, focusing on emotional honesty over literal history? Or does the departure from the traditional image of Helen pull you out of the story? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoy media analysis that actually looks beyond the surface level internet outrage, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell. Until next time, stay mythological.